Okay, so every year around this time, around Thanksgiving here in the US, I like to put out a Christmas guitar lesson. It just gives you something to work on through the holidays, and it just makes it, I think it makes it fun. Makes it fun for me too. And I've been doing this for over 10 years, so I have a whole back catalog of past Christmas guitar lessons. You can check those out at activemelody.com. There's a Christmas guitar lessons category, so you can sort by all of the past ones if you're interested. But for this week, I wanted to do, or this year, I wanted to do Go Tell It on the Mountain. I thought this would be a really good one because I could hear this up-tempo version I had in my head, kind of somewhere between bluegrass and western swing. That was sort of the idea. And what I really like about this is it's a very simple and actually somewhat boring melody if you just play it straight. So it's your job as the guitar lead to take the melody and play it, but then improvise around it and embellish it. And that's something you hear guitar players do all the time. They'll take the melody and they'll play it, but then they'll add their own little twists and licks and things to make it sound more interesting. And so that's what the real meat of this lesson is going to be about. I'm going to show you some ideas for how to do that. And we're going to break it down over the course of 2 videos. So in this video, we're going to go through the first half of everything. If you'd like to learn the second half, or watch the second half, download the tablature, download the MP3 jam tracks, which I have in multiple tempos. You can get all of those extra materials by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP544. Some of you may not know this. This is a song that, at least in the South, gets sung in church quite a bit around the holidays. But even if you don't know it, you'll be able to pick up this melody really quick and follow along. There's a lot of chords going on. Don't let that intimidate you, though. We're not going to be playing any of those chords. We're going to be playing lead, and we don't have to think about any of those chords. We're not going to have to try and remember where that secondary dominant chord is or the major 2 chord. We're just going to stay in the key of the song, and it even gets easier because we're going to be playing the major pentatonic scale. And I'm going to give you a pattern to go from the lowest note all the way up to the 12th fret first string, so your lowest E, all the way up to here. I'm going to show you this little pattern that works its way across the fretboard in a horizontal fashion that you may not know about, and this is one that I use all the time. And it's where melodies live. This is sort of the home for melody. In fact, let's start off this lesson before we get into the specific notes. Let me show you this pattern. Once you see this, you're gonna love this because this is where melodies are created. And I'll give some examples of that. But the song is in the key of E, and so if you look at your E chord, if you play an E chord and look at where your ring finger is when you make that chord, that's an E note. Right on the 4th string, 2nd fret, 4th string. So if I were to put my index finger there instead and do this, so follow along with me if you've got your guitar. But we're gonna skip a fret. We're gonna stay on the 4th string. We're gonna skip a fret, go up to the 4th fret, and then we're gonna skip another fret. And we're gonna go up to the 6th fret. So we have. So play these 2 like that, and then slide your ring finger up to the 6th fret, and then we're gonna come up to the 4th fret, 3rd string, and we're gonna play another little box here, 4 and 6. Those are the fret numbers. So we have, believe it or not, that is the E major pentatonic scale. Those are all the notes of the E major pentatonic scale. Those 5 notes are the 5 notes of the E major pentatonic. Now we're going to keep going with it though. So from here, that 6th fret 3rd string, we're going to come to the 5th fret 2nd string, but using our index finger. And then watch this. It's going to be the same. So this is an E note. So we went from this E to this E. And remember the pattern we played here? Skip a fret, and then jump up a string. We're going to do the same thing from here. Skip a fret, and then come up to the 1st string and play 7, 9. So from here we have. So let's take it from down here and walk all the way up. Remember, put your index finger there, 5th fret, 2nd string. And then let's just close it out by hitting this last note. We'll use our pinky for that. 12th fret, first string. That's another E note. That's another, the highest octave. So we went from this E all the way to here. Now, a really cool thing that you may not have thought about that happens between this 12th fret first string and 9th fret first string is this is pattern 1 of your E major pentatonic scale. Look at this. Ah, a little light bulb went off for a few people out there. You go, okay, cool. So I can go. And then from here I can go. So it's almost like two different ways of approaching the scale. One is a horizontal way, one is a vertical way. And you'll start to understand why this is important in a minute. I just want to give you these parameters. Now from here, those first two notes we looked at was on the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on that 4th string. We can do the same thing on the 5th string, 2nd fret and 4th string. We can do the same thing on the 6th string, 2nd fret and 4th string. And we can play the open E. So let's put it all together from the open E, this lowest E. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. So we walked all the way up the E major pentatonic scale from here. Now, in your mind, connect this stuff back to your E chord shape. Because where I've got these two fingers when I'm making that chord on that 2nd fret, you can let that be the, where you put your index finger to start this little pattern. And you should be able to very quickly kind of get through that. Once you can see it, you'll have to practice it a few times. But then when you're up here, you can walk down the major pentatonic scale in this box. And I use this technique all the time. What I love about it is it's connected to a chord shape. So that means if we were playing in F, I could do the same thing. Right? I can see this little pattern. It just follows from this chord shape. It makes it very easy to get across the fretboard. So now let's listen to the melody of the first part of Go Tell It on the Mountain. We'll break it down. It's going to totally make sense because it's coming from this pattern that we just looked at. So we're starting here on the 2nd fret 4th string. Hitting that twice, then I put my ring finger on the 4th fret 4th string and slide up to the 6th fret. And this is right out of that E major pentatonic scale pattern I just showed you. Now we're going to jump up to the 3rd string and play 4, 6, 4. And then I'm going to slide back in to the 6th fret on the 4th string. So that's the first part of the melody. And what really makes it, and what I like about playing horizontally like this is I can slide. If I was playing it here, it's too robotic sounding versus, and then that little slide. It's the way you would sing it. Okay, then the second part goes, and that's again out of that pattern I showed you. We're between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on the 4th string, and then down to the 5th string. And then it comes up here and goes. So it starts off the same way on the 2nd fret, 4th string. We're doing this slide again up to the 6th fret, and then up to the 3rd string and play 4, 6, but this time there's a half bend on that 6th fret 3rd string. And then we walk it back down. Now that half bend sounded bluesy. And the reason for that is we're sliding up to this note. We're hitting this note. Or I'm bending up to that note, I should say. And that note is the flat 7 of your E. So if I were to play an E7 chord, there's that note. So I was hitting that note by going. Now I realize it can be frustrating if you're just learning this for the first time. You're going, well, wait, how would I know to get that flat 7? Well, you just learn this over time. You can tell, my ear knows if I'm on this note, I can just do a half bend. It's just 1 fret away. So same thing up here. You can hear that bend into that flat 7. So there's one little thing you can just walk away with that idea. So now you've got your E major pentatonic scale, but you've also got a way to bend into the flat 7 to get that bluesy sound. It steps out of that major sound and into that minor sound. And then I played this. Now that may seem complicated, but once you understand what's going on, it's really pretty simple. So it starts off, let's look at it in 2 parts. That is the E major pentatonic scale pattern I've already showed you. We're just sliding with our ring finger from the 4th fret to the 6th fret on the 4th string, and then we're coming up to the 3rd string and playing 4, 6, 4. Okay, now watch this. From here, we're going to take our ring finger on that 6th fret 3rd string. We're going to slide it up to the 8th fret on the 3rd string. You're just going to have to follow me here, and I'll explain where it's coming from. And then put your middle finger down on the 7th fret 2nd string. So you're going to go. And then from the 7th fret, we're going to slide down to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. So we have. And then we're going to take our index finger and we're going to bar on the 4th fret, first 3 strings, but we're only going to play strings 3 and 2. And walk it down chromatically. So we're going to play 3, 2. Those are the string numbers. 3, 2. And then we're just going to play them together. So when you do that whole lick together, you have this. Now this first part you get, right? That's the E major pentatonic scale. Now what is this? Well, that's what the song, even though there's a lot of chords going on, at this point in the song, we're playing over the 5 chord. There's the 5 chord. So all I had to really do, now I didn't have to do that. I did not have to touch on that 5 chord. And that's what this is, by the way. This is coming from your B chord, which is your 5 chord. Those are the 2 notes out of your B chord here using the E shape, right? There's your B triad. And I walked that down 2 frets. And then I came to my B chord here using the A shape. That's where those 2 notes come from. Walk that down 2 frets and you get like a 7 sound. You can just remember that. So I went and walked it down to there. And all of that last little part there represented my B, because I was doing out of a B chord, down to my like B7 sound. So I didn't have to do that. I could have stayed E major pentatonic scale, but to make it just sound that much more advanced or interesting, I guess is the best way to say it. It's good to, at certain points, to touch on chords. So I guess I kind of lied when I said we're not going to touch on chords. For the most part, we don't. It's just major pentatonic scale. But when it comes to that 5 chord, I do highlight notes of the 5 chord. So it's really just the key of the song and the 5 chord. So now we're to the chorus of the song, and everything I'm going to play here is out of that first pattern I showed you. So it's, and by the way, you can play 2 notes at the same time. You get a harmony. So I'm going to play 4th fret 3rd string and the 6th fret 4th string. I slid into that, but you can see where that's coming from, right? From that E major pentatonic scale. Slide back down, and we're going to go between the 4th fret and the 2nd fret here. Right? See, it's following that exact little pattern, that E major pentatonic scale pattern. And what I love about this pattern is I can play pretty much any melody out of this. Now, here's the thing. You can't play everything with your major pentatonic scale. You are going to have to play notes from your major scale and other things at certain points. But your major pentatonic scale has a big chunk of what you need usually. So you might have to move up a fret to hit a note. Like that, for example. But it's going to be connected to that major pentatonic scale. That can be the spine of pretty much every melody in a major key. So the chorus then goes. Then we repeat it. Now this time I walked it up chromatically. 2, 3, 4. That's another little thing you can remember. These where we skipped a fret, between frets, you can play those notes that we skipped. You can think of them as passing tones. So that's just another little point to remember. You don't want to hang out on them, but you can use them as passing tones. Now, from here I went. So from this 4th fret 5th string, I came up to the 2nd fret 3rd string, and then slid down to this, which is the 3rd interval, the chord of my E chord. So that's the 1st fret 3rd string. But that note is the same note as up here. It's just easier to go as opposed to going. And then we come down to the 4th fret 4th string, and then 2nd fret 4th string. Now at this point, the song kind of slows down. I wanted to create some different dynamics. And I played this. This is using the same stuff that we've already talked about, though. Now I'm playing the E major pentatonic scale from this E note. So I'm starting here on the 5th fret 2nd string and sliding up from the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the 2nd string. And just sliding into the notes to give it a little character, that 9th fret 2nd string. And then I came back to the 5th fret 2nd string, to the 7th fret, and then another little half bend there. And then walked it down on the 3rd string from the 6th fret to the 4th fret. But this is all out of that E major pentatonic scale stuff we've talked about. Doing that half bend there gives it a bluesier feel versus that would be too happy. That gives it more of the sad bluesy kind of vibe I was going for. And then I repeated. I went back to the 5th fret 2nd string. So we've already done that. Now we're up on the 1st string and we played 7, 9, and then watch this. See how bluesy that sounds? So I'm doing a half bend on that 9th fret 1st string, down to the 7th fret, and then 8th fret 2nd string, 9th fret 3rd string. Now, what is that? That little piece, I broke out of the E major pentatonic scale and was thinking E minor pentatonic scale, which is pattern 4 of my E minor pentatonic scale, which happens to be there. I can also see, these are just different ways I'm visualizing this. I can see my E minor triad right there. So I basically hit the notes of that. But I gave a little bit of a bend to that 8th fret 2nd string. I just like the bluesy sound of that. It you want to dial in. I look at this whole thing as a dial. Most of it's been pretty happy and upbeat, but it's kind of fun to work in a little bit of blues here and there. And then just like we did before, when it comes to the 5 chord, playing over that B, I just played B, basically some blues off of this B chord here, my B chord using the E shape. I was thinking the minor pentatonic scale for B, pattern 1. So I went 10th fret 2nd string, did a slide from the B blues note down to the 9th fret 3rd string, 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 4th string. So it goes, and then there's a hammer on. So now I'm going to bar the first 3 strings on the 7th fret, and this there's my B triad off of this chord, doing a hammer on, 2nd string, 1st string, and then my B flat 7, the flat 7. doing the hammer-on, second string, first string, and then the flat 7 of my B chord, which is the 10th fret, second string. So, like a B7. Just kind of built that chord. So that whole lick was just like a bluesy sounding B thing. All right, so that's a lot of information in this video. I'm going to wrap up this part 1 video right here. Now come to Active Melody and join us for part 2, where we'll go over the rest of the song. And you would also have access to the tablature, the MP3 jam tracks, all the extra materials if you're interested in that. All right, we'll see you in part 2.